Did you know that the first hour after waking up can influence whether you live to 90 years or beyond? It sounds surprising, but it's absolutely true. What you do right after opening your eyes could quietly be shortening your life. Even before finishing your first cup of coffee, most people don't realize they're sabotaging their own longevity every single morning. But that's about to change. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 7 morning habits shared by those who live actively and fully well past 90. And the most amazing thing is that habit number 4 takes just 30 seconds, yet can have a profound impact on your long-term health. These are secrets rarely mentioned during medical appointments, even though they're backed by solid research. Let me tell you the story of Walter. At 65, he started seeing friends and acquaintances facing a wave of serious problems. Hearts were failing, minds were not as sharp, and bodies were beginning to let them down. Many started depending on others for the simplest things. But today, Walter is 93 years old, lives on his own, drives his own car, and volunteers 3 times a week at a community garden. How did he achieve that? It wasn't genetics, I assure you. In fact, most of his relatives didn't make it to 75. The difference began when he attended a health and wellness talk at age 65. From that day forward, he adopted 7 small rituals every morning, and what seemed insignificant radically changed his destiny. While others were aging rapidly, Walter was thriving. When I asked him what made the difference, he didn't hesitate. "What I do in the first hour of the morning saved my life." He said this with conviction and gratitude. Today, I want to share with you those same secrets that transformed his life. Are you ready to discover the habits that can boost your health and energy after 60? Let's start with the first one. Immediate hydration. Have you any idea what's happening inside your body? If you haven't had water this morning, your blood is becoming thicker, making your heart and brain work harder than necessary. It's a silent pressure, but a dangerous one. People who live to an advanced age don't start their day by checking their phone or turning on the television. The first thing they do is hydrate, and this is no coincidence. Experts in longevity and nephrologists at Harvard University have found that dehydration during the night speeds up aging by 31%. Dr. Jessica Rothman, director of the Kidney Health Department at Harvard, explains it clearly. While we sleep, the body steadily loses fluids. This nighttime dehydration leads to what we call morning coagulation, a state that forces the heart to work much harder and can damage the smallest blood vessels in the brain and kidneys. This damage isn't noticeable at first, but builds up over the years, accelerating the body's decline. And let me tell you about Sylvia. At 72 years old, she suffered from constant fatigue, memory lapses, and kidney function so impaired that her doctors were already discussing dialysis. But everything changed when she added a new habit. She began drinking half a liter of water right upon waking, without even getting out of bed. In just 2 months, her kidney function improved by 28%. My doctor couldn't believe it, Sylvia told me. He asked what medication I had started taking, and I said, just water first thing in the morning. Want to do the same? It's very simple. Tonight, before you go to sleep, leave a large glass of water on your nightstand. When you open your eyes in the morning, even before your feet hit the floor, drink it all. No coffee, no tea, just water. If it's room temperature, even better. Cold water can cause a slight shock to your system, especially right after waking up. This step should become a habit as essential as brushing your teeth. Remember that after hours of sleep, your organs are desperately asking for hydration. Don't keep them waiting any longer. You can commit to this simple habit that can greatly improve your cardiovascular health and kidney function. People who reach extraordinary ages don't see this as a suggestion. They consider it a life rule. It's not optional, it's fundamental. Do you do this every morning? If the answer is no, when will you start? Maybe tomorrow morning will be the beginning of a profound change in your well-being. The second transformative habit is to expose yourself to natural light as soon as you wake up. Without realizing it, you might be sabotaging your own biological clock day after day. If you don't get sunlight within the first 30 minutes of waking up, you're missing out on one of the most powerful triggers for living longer and healthier. This is backed by science. Research from the National Institute on Aging found that getting morning sunlight within the first half hour after waking boosts natural melatonin production at night by 73%. Yes, you read that correctly. And this doesn't just affect your sleep. Dr. Andrew Peterson, an expert in circadian rhythms and aging, explains it like this. Exposure to morning sunlight sets off a cascade of hormonal processes that influence your sleep, metabolism, and even your mental sharpness throughout the day. Ignoring this natural light cue is linked to a 37% higher risk of developing neurodegenerative diseases after age 70. Let me tell you about Benjamin. He was 75 years old and had been battling insomnia for decades with no real solution. He tried everything: prescription medications, herbal teas, costly supplements, relaxation techniques. Nothing worked long-term until his doctor suggested something simple yet powerful: go outside. As soon as he woke up, even if just for 10 minutes, no matter the weather, in 2 weeks, Benjamin was not only falling asleep faster and more deeply, but he also noticed other incredible changes. His blood pressure dropped by 15 points, and the intense afternoon fatigue that used to overwhelm him vanished. All because he chose to eat breakfast on his balcony instead of in front of the TV. Don't delay starting this life-changing habit any longer. Tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, step outside to soak up natural light. Even if the sky is cloudy, outdoor light is still 50 to 100 times brighter than the artificial light inside your home. And that's exactly what your brain needs to function properly. If moving outdoors feels hard, just sit by an open window for a few minutes. And if the weather won't cooperate, you can use a light therapy lamp as support. But nothing beats natural light. This habit isn't just about better sleep. It's a way to reset your internal clock and send a clear signal to all your cells. It's time to wake up, heal, and renew. You're signaling your body that it's time to start working towards your health. You're ready to give yourself that gift as early as tomorrow. Don't wait for a problem to arise before taking action. Your body is waiting for that cue to optimize itself from within. This brings us to the third powerful habit: moving gently before breakfast. What you do before eating in the morning can make a big difference in how your joints feel when you're 80. Many people make the silent mistake of staying still right after waking up, thinking it's better to have breakfast first and then move. But that can secretly trigger inflammatory processes that speed up joint wear. Rheumatologists at the Mayo Clinic found that incorporating gentle movements at the start of the day can reduce joint deterioration in older adults by up to 65%. Dr. Lisa Monroe, head of geriatric medicine at the same institution, explains it like this. Our research shows that moving before eating activates a process called autophagy. It's an internal cell-cleaning mechanism essential for keeping joints young and healthy. They compared inflammation levels in older adults who moved before breakfast with those who ate first, and the results were remarkable. A simple change completely transformed Harriet's life at 68. She had already scheduled knee replacement surgery after years of unbearable arthritis pain. As a last attempt before surgery, her physical therapist suggested a simple routine: just 7 minutes of gentle movements right after waking, before eating or drinking anything. The result? In just 3 months, her pain reduced so much the surgeon cancelled the operation. "I thought my active days were behind me," Harriet admitted. "But now I can run after my grandkids without worry." It all started with those few seemingly small minutes of morning movement that brought Harriet back to a full life. And you? Are you willing to give it a try? Here's your action plan. Tomorrow, right after drinking your glass of water and before coffee or breakfast, spend 5 to 10 minutes doing gentle movements to help lubricate your joints. This isn't about intense exercise or working up a sweat. This is a movement that nurtures, awakens, and cares for you. It begins with slow circular motions of the ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, and wrists. Rise up gently. Sway your body from side to side. Try to touch your toes if you can, or simply bend forward softly. The key is smooth, continuous movement. It's the kind of activity that tells your body it's time to get moving gently. Have you noticed how stiff your body feels in the mornings? That stiffness is a message you shouldn't ignore. In those first few minutes of the day, you have a unique chance to activate biological pathways linked to longevity. If you stay still, those pathways remain inactive. Will you take a few minutes tomorrow to care for your joints for the decades to come? Imagine yourself at 85 or 90, moving freely, without pain, without needing help to walk. Those who achieve this haven't just been lucky genetically. They've made these small morning rituals a steady part of their lives. Are you ready to join them? Now we arrive at the fourth habit, breathing practice 302. It might seem simple, but this quick 30-second exercise is one of the most powerful longevity rituals shared by many people over 90 who are in good health. Interestingly, most people completely overlook it, but listen to this. How you breathe in the morning can shape how your body handles stress throughout the day. And over time, that can add or subtract years from your life. In the famous blue zones of the world, areas where people live significantly longer than average, researchers have found that those who reach 100 in good health use very specific breathing patterns that reduce cellular stress by up to 48%. Dr. Michael Cohen, a longevity expert who has studied the elderly in Sardinia, Italy, explained, "We've seen significant differences in inflammation levels and stress hormones between those who practice mindful breathing in the morning and those who don't. This simple act activates the vagus nerve, sending a clear message to the body. You are safe. You don't need to be in survival mode. You can focus on healing, regenerating, and living." Douglas, another researcher who lived in villages in the Sardinian mountains, noticed a common pattern among the older men in the area. Every morning before doing anything else, they would step outside their homes, close their eyes, and take deep rhythmic breaths for a few minutes. It wasn't a formal meditation or a complicated technique, but rather a calm connection with their bodies, their surroundings, and the present moment. When researchers analyzed the heart rate variability and cortisol levels in older individuals who practiced mindful breathing each morning, they found something surprising. Their physiological measures were similar to those of people several decades younger. A 96-year-old shepherd summed it up simply, "I breathe every morning to prepare my body for a good day. If I skip that moment, by midday my energy drops and my mind gets cloudy." And now I ask you, are you ready to try a practice of just 30 seconds that could improve your health from day one? Right after you drink your glass of water, and if possible, while exposing yourself to natural morning light, perform this technique known as 4-7-8 breathing. Inhale slowly and deeply through your nose for 4 seconds. Then hold the breath in your lungs for 7 seconds. Finally, exhale completely through your mouth for 8 seconds, making a gentle whistling sound. Repeat this cycle 3 or 4 times. That's it. You don't need more than 30 seconds. Although it may seem too simple to be effective, science strongly supports it. This small exercise has measurable effects on blood pressure, inflammation levels, and even stress hormones. Are you willing to invest just half a minute tomorrow morning to gain one of the greatest benefits for your well-being? It could be the best return you've ever had for so little time spent. And now, ask yourself another important question. Are you breathing deeply right now as you listen to this? Probably not. Most people breathe shallowly, using only about 30% of their lung capacity, but that can change starting tomorrow. Now we move on to the fifth essential habit, a breakfast rich in proteins and fibers. What you eat every morning could be quietly undermining your chances of staying healthy well into your 90s. The truth is harsh. Most people's typical breakfast is not only low in nutrients, but also speeds up cellular aging without us realizing it. At least, not until it's too late. Nutrition and longevity experts have identified common eating habits among people who live significantly longer than average, and one of the most consistent factors is the type of breakfast they eat. Research shows that a proper morning meal can reduce inflammatory markers by up to 53%. Dr. Valerie Richardson, lead researcher at the Institute for Nutrition and Longevity, explains it this way. The first meal of the day sets the metabolic tone for the next 24 hours. It influences your insulin sensitivity, the level of silent inflammation that accumulates in the body, and, most importantly, your cells' ability to repair themselves. If you consume at least 25 grams of protein and 8 grams of fiber at breakfast, you're helping your body regenerate instead of continuing to damage it. Gerald's story is a clear example. At 68, he was diagnosed with prediabetes and elevated inflammatory levels. Although he wasn't overweight, his tests showed that he was likely to develop diabetes within 2 years. Instead of starting medication, he made one simple change. He transformed his breakfast. He replaced white toast and black coffee with a complete meal rich in proteins and fiber. The result, within 6 months, his blood markers returned entirely to normal. "The only thing I changed was breakfast," Gerald said. "My doctor couldn't believe it was possible to reverse everything with just one adjustment." Want to do the same? Here's your formula. Combine a good source of protein, like eggs, Greek yogurt, or plant-based options if you prefer, with fiber-rich foods such as berries, oats, chia seeds, or green vegetables. Add a healthy fat like avocado, a handful of nuts, or a tablespoon of olive oil. And most importantly, avoid refined carbohydrates entirely before 10 a.m. These cause insulin spikes that over time accelerate cellular aging. The best part about this habit is you don't need extra time. You're already eating breakfast. You only need to change what you eat to activate the pathways of longevity instead of those of inflammation. It's definitely worth reconsidering your usual breakfast if it's harming your health after 70. Give it a try. Change your breakfast tomorrow and notice how you start to feel the difference in just a few days. What you choose to put on your plate every morning might seem like a small detail, but its cumulative effects, year after year, are huge. Your future health literally depends on every little bite you choose today. Now let's move on to the sixth habit, morning social connection. This simple ritual can be more powerful than any supplement for extending your life. It's about genuine, meaningful human connection, even if it's brief. Did you know that social isolation impacts your health as seriously as smoking 15 cigarettes a day? Surprisingly, it's not just the quality of that connection that matters, but also when it happens. A groundbreaking 80-year study from Harvard University, covering multiple generations, found that those who connected socially in the morning, before 10 a.m., lived longer than those who didn't, regardless of whether they smoked or exercised. Dr. Robert Miller, who led the final phase of this research, made it clear. People who maintained some form of significant social interaction in the morning had a 29% lower mortality rate from all causes during the study period. How can something so simple be so powerful? It turns out that early-day human interaction regulates key neurotransmitters that boost both the cardiovascular and immune systems. In Okinawa, Japan, one of the regions with the highest numbers of centenarians, researcher Nancy noticed a fascinating pattern. Every morning, neighbors would meet, even if just for 5 minutes of casual conversation before starting their day. A 97-year-old woman told her, If I don't talk to someone in the morning, I feel like the whole day is off. We always check in on each other every morning. That's how we've lived so long. When scientists measured their inflammation levels and compared them to older adults living in isolation, they found huge differences, so significant that they equated to decades less in biological age. Do you want to make this transformative habit part of your routine? Here are 3 practical ways to start tomorrow morning. First, make a quick call to a friend or family member. Just 3 minutes can make a big difference. Second, if you live with others, create a conscious connection ritual each morning instead of just passing by in silence like strangers. Third, if you live alone, try to arrange a regular meetup even once a week with neighbors or acquaintances. If none of these are possible, even a friendly chat with the barista at your cafe or the store clerk can provide many of the same benefits. What matters is making human connection an essential part of your morning, just like brushing your teeth. Are you ready to prioritize this tomorrow? Your body truly needs this stimulus to thrive. It doesn't matter how many supplements you take or how disciplined you are with exercise. Without human connection, something vital is missing. Who will you connect with tomorrow morning? Your body is waiting for that key signal to activate its longevity mechanisms. Now we arrive at the 7th habit, focused gratitude practice. This is the only mental ritual that people over 90 do every morning without fail. But it's not the vague, be grateful advice we often hear. This practice has a specific form that directly impacts your biology and brain. Neuroscientists at Yale University discovered that intentional morning gratitude physically reshapes the aging brain and reduces cortisol levels, the stress hormone, by 23%. Dr. Sarah Jenkins, an expert in neuroplasticity in older adults, explains it this way. Functional MRIs have shown us how the brain changes when adults consistently practice focused gratitude every morning. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation, shows significantly more activity, similar to that of younger brains. But there's an essential factor. The timing of when you practice it makes all the difference. This effect is much stronger when done within the first hour after waking. Patricia's story illustrates this powerfully. At 74 years old, she was struggling with persistent hypertension that didn't respond well to medication. Her cardiologist was increasingly concerned about her heart's function. That's when Patricia discovered this science-backed morning gratitude practice and decided to give it a try as a last resort. Instead of dwelling on her worries, every morning she took a few minutes to express gratitude for her body. And in just 3 months, her blood pressure stabilized remarkably, and her heart rate variability, a key indicator of cardiovascular health, improved by 31%. My doctor asked me what medication I had changed, Patricia recalled. And when I told him the only difference was my morning mindset, he didn't believe me until he saw the repeated results in my tests. Want to know exactly what Patricia did? Here's the 2-minute gratitude practice that transformed her health. After finishing her breathing exercise, she would place a hand over her heart and name 3 specific parts of her body she felt grateful for, always explaining why. For example, I'm thankful for my eyes, which allow me to see the smiles of my grandchildren. I'm grateful for my legs, which still carry me wherever I want to go. I'm thankful for my heart, which has faithfully beaten for me all these years. The key here is specificity. This isn't vague or abstract gratitude. It's a conscious, deep recognition directed at your body. It's not about magical thinking, it's pure biology. This simple practice measurably changes how your nervous system functions, impacting everything from inflammation to immune response. You're going to try this 2-minute practice tomorrow morning. It costs nothing and requires no special equipment. Yet the benefits can literally add years and quality to your life. Think about this. Have you thanked your body today for everything it does for you, or have you only focused on what doesn't work the way it used to? Your perspective changes your biology. What you choose to think holds real power. Now you know the 7 morning habits that can transform your health after 60 and greatly increase your chances of joining that vibrant group of people living actively beyond 90. And no, you don't have to do everything perfectly. By adopting just 3 of these habits, you'll begin to see real changes on your health journey. Remember Walter, he started with only 2 of these rituals and gradually added the others. The key is to start tomorrow. Don't wait for the perfect moment. That rarely comes. Every morning is a new opportunity to set your body on the path to youth or decline. Which path will you choose? These habits aren't luxuries or passing trends. They are essential practices for anyone who wants not only to reach 90, but to do so with energy, mental clarity, and a strong sense of purpose. Which of these 7 habits will you start tomorrow? Your future self will thank you for the choices you make today. If you found this information valuable, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more life-changing health secrets that many people over 60 never hear about. Are you already practicing any of these habits? Let me know in the comments which one has helped you the most, and please share this video with someone you care about. It could be a gift that adds not just years, but quality to their life.